Do you ever feel like the most sacred things in your life are left to chance? Worship, service, who carries your spiritual home? Remember this, that Numbers 3 shows that God doesn't leave the holy to chance. He appoints, He counts, He consecrates, and He redeems. So stay with me till the end of the video to get 6 biblical unlocks and 2 practical applications that you can apply from this chapter in your life today. In this episode of Biblical Unlocks, this show is designed to help build your habit of reading the Bible, understanding the Bible, and applying it in your daily life. So if you enjoy episodes like this, please consider following and rating the show. It's free, it helps me out, and you can always change your mind later. Now let's get some context on the chapter. Alright, some context. Numbers chapter 3 actually explains who the Levites are, for one, why they're set apart, for 2, and how they replace the firstborn as God's special ministers for the tabernacle. After the census that we saw and the camp order between Numbers 1 and 2, God is now going to establish basically a secret staff who's going to carry and guard his dwelling place, the dwelling place being the tabernacle. And this particular chapter answers a structural question: who tends God's presence so the people can live and move? If you're new here, think about Numbers 3 as basically the Bible's HR department, right? So for holy work, it assigns names, peoples, roles, sets ages, reimbursements, and ties that priestly service to God's redemption of Israel's firstborn. So, with that being said, let's go through the first 4 verses, and afterwards I'm going to give you the first biblical unlock. Verses 1 to 4. This is the lineage of Aaron and Moses. At the time when the Lord spoke with Moses on Mount Sinai, these are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab the firstborn, and Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the anointed priests, whom he ordained to serve as priests. Nadab and Abihu died before the Lord when they offered unholy fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai, and they had no children. Eleazar and Ithamar served as priests in the lifetime of their father Aaron. Okay, so the first biblical unlock here is that God gives a visible priesthood so people can see the mediator. Aaron's sons, Nadab, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar, they're named first, and the reason why they're named first is because priestly ministry is not only personal and relational, it's not abstract, right? It's more than that. Naming grounds a mediation. When people are named, as well as when people are numbered, that grounds their presence in God. The people here meet God through persons who bear responsibility and can be held accountable, and this is the reason why we see this same ecclesiastical structure throughout Christian denominations. There must be priests to shepherd the flocks in the same way that Israel were shepherded by priests who were mediatory signals of God's presence. Okay, now let's go through verses 5 to 10. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Bring the tribe of Levi near, and set them before Aaron the priest, so that they may assist him. They shall perform duties for him, and for the whole congregation in front of the tent of meeting, doing service at the tabernacle. They shall be in charge of all the furnishings of the tent of meeting, and attend to the duties for the Israelites. As they do service at the tabernacle, you shall give the Levites to Aaron and his descendants. They are unreservedly given to him from among the Israelites. But you shall enroll Aaron and his descendants. It is they who shall attend to the priesthood, and any outsider who comes near shall be put to death." So, biblical unlock number 2. The Levites here are a divine delegation. They're not volunteers, but they are actually appointed guardians of God's tent. God says to Moses, "Bring the tribe of Levi near." And the Levites are set apart to do the tabernacle's work. Theologically, what does this mean? It means the holy needs caretakers who can stand between the people and the presence, so God's dwelling is neither neglected nor profaned. Okay, let's read verses 11 to 13 now. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "I hereby take the Levites from among the Israelites as substitutes for all the firstborn that open the womb. Among the Israelites, the Levites shall be mine, for all the firstborn are mine. When I killed all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I consecrated for my own all the firstborn in Israel, both human and animal. They shall be mine. I am the Lord." Biblical unlock number 3. God redeems the firstborn with service, and this is a substitution that not only teaches purchase but protection. God tells Moses the Levites are going to be given in place of every firstborn of Israel because the firstborn belongs to the Lord. We can read this in Exodus chapter 13 verse 2 and Exodus chapter 13 verses 11 to 16, where it is written, "Consecrate to me all the firstborn, whatever is the first to open the womb among the Israelites of human beings and animals is mine." Now, this is not so much an arbitrary law as it is fundamentally reflective of something important throughout all of human nature. The firstborn son, or the firstborn, or the birthright, is something that is really important in progressing your lineage across times, places, and generations. The reason why this is important, therefore, is when you consecrate what is most important, what is most precious to God, that shows your dedication and devotion to your God. In the same way, this is not arbitrary. The Levites' vocation is a redeemed role. In fact, they are the ransom or the purchase that secures people's access to God. And I want you to think about this because there is a substitution going on here. When the Lord says, "The Levites belong to me, they shall be mine," and remember that the Levites are the priests that designate and mediate God's presence between himself and the Israelites, what he's really saying is they are the ransom and purchase that secures the people's access to God. And this idea of substitution is going to lay the foundation for themes of atonement and mediation that resound throughout the rest of the Bible. Okay, let's read verses 14 to 20 now. Then the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Mount Sinai, saying, "Enroll the Levites by ancestral houses and by clans. You shall enroll every male from a month old and up." So Moses enrolled them according to the word of the Lord, as he was commanded. These were the sons of Levi by their names: Gershon, Kohath, and Merari. These were the names of the sons of Gershon by their clans: Libni and Shimei. The sons of Kohath by their clans: Amram, Izhar, Hebron, and Uzziel. The sons of Merari by their clans: Mali and Mushi. These were the clans of the Levites by their ancestral houses. Biblical unlock number 4 here. What's going on here? Essentially, sacred labor is going to be structured into families and roles, and the idea here is that theology requires some form of administration. The Levites here are counted by families: Gershon, Kohath, Merari, and they are assigned particular duties. And the spiritual life of a people requires concrete roles. Some carry the curtains, some the frames, some the most holy things. The idea here is that God's presence is not chaotic, it's staffed and it is administrative. Okay, let's read verses 21 to 32 now. To Gershon belonged the clans of the Libnites and the clan of the Shimeites. These were the clans of the Gershonites. Their enrollment, counting all the males from a month old and up, was 7,500. The clans of the Gershonites were to camp behind the tabernacle on the west, with Eliasaph, son of Lael, as head of the ancestral house of the Gershonites. The responsibility of the sons of Gershon in the tent of meeting was the tabernacle, the tent with its covering, the screen for the entrance of the tent of meeting, the hangings of the court, the screen for the entrance of the court that is around the tabernacle, and the altar and its cords, all the service pertaining to these. Verse 27. To Kohath belonged the clan of the Amorites, the clan of the Izharites, and the clan of the Hebronites, and the clan of the Uzzielites. These were the clans of the Kohathites. Counting all the males from a month old and up, there were 8,600 performing the duties of the sanctuary. The clan of the Kohathites were to camp on the south side of the tabernacle, with Elizaphan, son of Uzziel, as the head of the ancestral house of the clans of the Kohathites. Their responsibility was the ark, the table, the lampstand, the altars, the vessels of the sanctuary with which the priests minister, and all the service pertaining to these. Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, was to be chief over the leaders of the Levites and to have oversight of those who performed the duties of the sanctuary. Biblical unlock number 5. God positions gifts where they best serve the presence. The subclans, you can see, you have the Kohathites, and then Within the Kohathites, you have the Amramites, the Izharites, the Hebronites, and the Uzzielites. The idea here is that each subclan is going to receive a particular task. Kohath carries the most important items with strict rules, Gershon the fabrics, Merari the structural timbers, and the implication here is that spiritual gifting is a sort of vocation. Each gift contributes to one dwelling of God, and there isn't a role which is too small. Every role here protects the tabernacle's integrity. Okay, final section of the entire chapter, verses 33 to 51. To Merari belonged the clan of the Mahlites and the clan of the Mushites. These were the clans of Merari. Their enrollment, counting all the males from a month old and up, was 6,200. The head of the ancestral house of the clans of Merari was Zuriel son of Abihail. They were to camp on the north side of the tabernacle. The responsibility assigned to the sons of Merari was the frames of the tabernacle, the bars, the pillars, the bases, and all their accessories, all the service pertaining to these. Also the pillars of the court all round with their bases and pegs and cords. Those who were to camp in front of the tabernacle on the east, in front of the tent of meeting toward the sunrise, were Moses and Aaron's sons, who were to perform the duties of the sanctuary. Whatever had to be done for the Israelites and any outsider who came near was to be put to death. The total enrollment of the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron enrolled at the commandment of the Lord by their clans, all the males from a month old and up, was 22,000. Verse 40 to 51 now. Then the Lord said to Moses, Enroll all the firstborn males of the Israelites from a month old and up, and count their names. But you shall take the Levites for me, I am the Lord, as substitutes for all the firstborns among the Israelites, as the Lord commanded him. The total enrollment, all the firstborn males from a month old and up, counting the number of names, was 22,273. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Take the Levites as substitutes for all the firstborn among the Israelites, and the livestock of the Levites as substitutes for their livestock, and the Levites shall be mine. I am the Lord. As the price of redemption of the 273 of the firstborn of the Israelites over and above the number of the Levites, you shall take 5 shekels apiece, reckoning by the shekel of the sanctuary, a shekel of 20 gerahs. Give to Aaron and his sons the money by which the excess number of them is redeemed. So Moses took the redemption money from those who were over and above those who redeemed by the Levites. From the firstborn of the Israelites he took the money, 1,365 shekels, reckoned by the shekel of the sanctuary. And Moses gave the redemption money to Aaron and his sons, according to the word of the Lord, as the Lord had commanded Moses. Sixth and final biblical unlock. Service to God has both a human count and a redeeming cost. That is, holiness is costly, but it is a part of the community. So, the Levites are counted, the firstborn are counted. We have the ransom formula here, by the way. So that is 15 shekels per head if you are redeemed, and it also makes the substitution an explicit material acknowledgement that holiness requires this payment and the responsibility of the community. But the final paradox is this: God's presence is free, yet maintaining access to Him is a communal cost that we all share. Now, you may be thinking, why do you even need to pay at all? Why is there a redemption cost at all? The idea here, or the theological backdrop behind this chapter, is Exodus 13, as we saw. Every firstborn belongs to the Lord, and because God spared Israel's firstborn at Passover, redemption acknowledges ownership, not payment for value. The money is not a price tag on human life, it is a symbolic ransom acknowledging this life is God's, and He graciously allows substitution. And why 5? Well, it's quite a small amount so that the rich and poor pay the same, but there's also symbolic weight associated with the number 5. 5 often signifies grace or God's provision. 5 books of the Torah, David chooses 5 smooth stones. There is a 5-fold sacrificial system. That is to say, redemption is not earned, it is graciously structured. And redemption is costly, but it's not crushing. That's why it's quite cheap as well. So, That is why it's not so much a value of a human being as it is a way of acknowledging that it's owed to God. But as we'll see in the next section, this has immense Christological fulfillment. Numbers chapter 3 actually sets up a pattern. In Numbers 3, the firstborn owed to God is Israel. The substitute here are the Levites. The redemption price here are 5 shekels of silver. And the mediator between this, this substitution, are the Aaronic priests. But the Christological fulfillment is that the firstborn owed to God was ultimately fulfilled in Christ, God's firstborn. The substitute was Christ himself. There was no redemption price, not silver or gold. He was betrayed for 30 pieces of silver. His fulfillment does not require money. That is, he gives a free gift of salvation to anyone who is willing to accept. And the mediator is not the Aaronic priest in this case, but Jesus Christ himself, who is the eternal high priest. Unlike Israel's firstborn, he is not redeemed. He becomes the redemption. And as we see in Hebrews chapter 5 verse 5 and Hebrews chapter 7 verse 24, so also Christ did not exalt himself to be made a high priest, but was appointed by him who said to him, "You are my son." But he holds his priesthood permanently because he continues forever. He is our eternal high priest. He is our redemption price, and he is our ransom. So the massive takeaway that I want to apply in your life today is that it's important to name the people in your life. I've been constantly talking about naming and numbering and assigning tangible roles, but I'd say name people in your life who tend God's presence for you. Who are your Levites? Who are the people who are responsible for mediating your presence to God, your consumption of spirituality? And it's important to assign one tangible role. Decide one concrete weekly responsibility that you'll take to support your local worship faith household. Put it on your calendar and tell someone. So that's it for this episode of Biblical Unlocks. Next time we'll open up Numbers chapter 4, where the Kohathites, the Gershonites, and the Merarites learn the exact holy rules for carrying the tabernacle. We'll see why sacred things must be held with reverence and what that means for you and how you touch the holy in your life. You don't want to miss it. So thanks for listening. If Numbers 3 convicted you about who tends your spiritual life, do the simple name your Levites exercise tonight. Send one quick message of thanks and agree to one small act of support. The sacred doesn't sustain itself. It needs hands and hearts who are willing to serve. And you're a part of a company that keeps God's presence moving. So thanks for listening. If you enjoyed episodes like this, please consider rating and following the show. Otherwise, just have a blessed day. And remember, if you're not in your word, you're in your feelings. Godspeed.